Oh. Evening, everybody, members and members of the public. Welcome to Castle Point Council's Cabinet meeting on the 18th of January. Before I start, I would just like to let members know that it's going to be a change in the Cabinet on two members, basically changing roles. So Councillor Fuller will be going over to Environment, which includes waste, street cleaning, local highways, open spaces and disabled facilities. And it'll also take on our green agenda. And Councillor Mountford will be going over and doing the finance reports and finances. So that's the change, and I think it'll be a good, because I know Mike and I know Steve are willing to really get going in their roles. Have we got any apologies for absence?
No? Not for members of the Cabinet.
Then, members, can I just say that, is there any members' interests? No? And then what I'll do now, even though I've done it back to front, is introduce the Cabinet. And so, Councillor Cole.
Good evening, members, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Councillor Stephen Cole. I'm the Deputy Leader for Castle Point Council and the Ward Councillor for St George's Ward.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Councillor Warren Gibson and I'm Cabinet Member for Strategic Planning.
Good evening all. Councillor Russell Savage, St Mary's Ward and Cabinet Member for People and Community.
Evening, Councillor Mountford, Cedar Hall Ward and now Cabinet Member for Resources. Thank you.
Good evening all, Councillor Barry Palmer, Cabinet Member for Regeneration and Economic Growth, and can I apologise for my appearance? I've had to come straight here from somewhere.
Councillor Such.
Good evening, Councillor Carol Sage, Member for People, Health, Wellbeing and Housing.
Councillor Michael Fuller, Cabinet Member now for Environment.
Right, thank you, members. And I'm Councillor Dave Blackwell, Leader of the Council. Okay, members, minutes. Have I your permission to sign the minutes of the previous meeting? Is that agreed, members? Thank you. Okay, I got members who wish to ask questions are Councillor Isaacs, Councillor McLean, Councillor Bissett, Councillor Cutler, Councillor Dixon, Councillor Beverley Egan, Owen Egan, Councillor Skip, Sue Mumford, Councillor Chairs Mumford, Councillor Hart, Councillor Andrew Thornton, Councillor Jackie Thornton and Councillor Walter have given notice they wish to actually ask questions on the agenda.
A lot of them are not here.
No.
Point of order, is this in order, the fact that they're not even in the chamber?
We can only go by what members have actually applied to and to say that they wish to ask questions. If members don't turn up, we can't know whether they're going to turn up or not. We can only agree to allow them to ask questions at the meeting. If they don't turn up, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. If you want to ask the question at a meeting, then you should turn up to answer it. But that's how the meeting has to go.
Yeah, Chairman, if I may, I should actually say that Councillor Isaacs said that he would be unable to attend, as did Councillor Walter and as did Councillor Skip, Councillor Skip being unwell. And
All right. Thanks, Em. Okay, item 4 is the forward plan. And I think that's down to Councillor Fox.
Sorry, I just want to go back on
sorry.
that. I think it makes a mockery of our constitution that people can just put in, they randomly want to ask questions meeting after meeting and not turn up, because not all of those councillors have sent in apologies. I think we need to follow the constitution with a bit more respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mumford. Moving on, forward plan.
Thank you very much, Mr Leader, members, ladies and gentlemen. Item 4 is the forward plan. We are required to produce a forward plan which contains details of key decisions likely to be taken within the next 3 months and beyond. We review the plan each month at our meetings. The plan is subject to change. Next month, there will be an item on managing damp and mould being presented to this Cabinet. If there are any questions, then I'll be pleased to answer them, or I will pass them over to the relevant officer who will answer them. Well, they better, otherwise we're sending them into the dungeon.
Members, is that noted? Members, Councillor Mumford.
Thank you, Chairman. I note on the forward plan, obviously there's a report coming in February regarding the paddocks, but it will go without notice that a lot of people are very concerned at the moment regarding the fact that the paddocks remains closed. Could we have an update, perhaps from Councillor Cole or yourself, Leader, as to where we are with the paddocks and when it's due to reopen? Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. Councillor Cole, do you want to? Angela, do you want to take that on board?
If I may, I'll pass this over to the CEO to give an accurate report of the situation.
Thank you, Chair. Although the paddocks is on the forward plan, my advice is at this time that we're not in a position to answer that question publicly. Ongoing conversations are happening with the Friends of the Paddocks Trust and other agencies who are supporting the council, so I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to answer that question in open session at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, members, moving on is the final update, financial update. Councillor Fuller's the last financial update.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. This is because I was sort of changing roles. It's been decided it's probably better if I give this update tonight. It's going to be brief because the report before you is a factual report, and it's intended to just provide Cabinet with the latest 2022-2023 forecast in respect of the General Fund and update the Cabinet on developments of a financial nature which may impact on the Council's financial plans in respect of either the General Fund Housing Revenue Account, the HRA, or the Capital Programme. There are two recommendations before you this evening. First recommendation is that the Cabinet note the report and the financial forecast as given in the Appendix 1, and the second recommendation that the Cabinet approve the proposed environment shown within paragraph 6.1. You will notice that it's a list of tables with numbers. The only thing really I'd like to point out to you, you've got the report and all of the numbers speak for themselves. There are a couple of things which I think is worthwhile pointing out, and that's the on section 7, which is the revenue capital budgets on watch. Now these are items that are seen to identified by the Strategic Director of Resources as on watch. This term refers to expenditure and income budgets where there is a reason to believe that performance may not meet expectations or where the impact on the Council's overall financial plan is likely to be material. And for the purpose of this report, only items which have an impact of at least 50,000 are included. I've chosen a couple of the larger items here just simply to bring them to your attention. The first one is on the environment. This is section 1 in that table. It's about the car park at School Lane with a 293,000 shortfall. And this is essentially due to the fact that the current utilisation of that car park is low, and it's all to do with the various pressures that have been on in terms of work and all the other issues. So there is a 293,000 shortfall expected there. Balancing that to some degree, in item 4, the leisure centres are expected to given a 241,000 improvement, and this is due to increased fees and charges, and also membership numbers. I guess that as people have come out after the pandemic, they're now looking to get fit again, and they're finding a way to use their leisure time, and so that is a good news as far as the leisure centres are concerned. There's a 365,000, which is the third generation sports pitch, which has been deferred to next year so that it doesn't interrupt the playing season. And the last two, I think, if you look at the non-service income and expenditure, which is in items 14, this is interest receivable. This is much higher than was anticipated, and this is simply down to the fact that interest rates, the Bank of England base rate is higher now, and so we're getting more interest on the investments, and also the interest payable is forecast to be lower, and this is because of some early repayment of public works loan board loans. So we've got a discount on that. So members, that's all I'm really proposing to say. If there are any questions, I'm sure the gentleman on my left would be more than happy to answer them. Other than that, I would just ask you to approve the recommendations. Thank you, Chairman.
Members, have we any questions from the Cabinet? Is that agreed then, members?
Agreed.
Agreed. Members, other members, any other members asked any questions? No? That's fine. Moving on. Item number 6, the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. Councillor Cole.
Good evening, members, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is a really good news story for this borough and something we should be rightly proud on. We have managed to secure £1 million. On the 13th of April 2022, the government launched a 2.6 billion UK shared fund. The fund must be used to achieve one of 4 objectives: boost productivity, pay, jobs and living standards, spread opportunities and improve public services, restore a sense of pride, of community, local pride and belonging, empower local leaders and communities. Councillors' allocation from this fund is £1 million and is to be spent over 3 years. Council was required to prepare an investment plan which sets out how the fund would be used. Investment plan was submitted on the 1st of September and approved at the beginning of December. The funding split is over 3 years, as I've said. Year 1 is 2022 to 23 and we will receive just under £80,000. Year 2 is 2023 to 2024 and we will receive just under £160,000. Year 3 is 2024 to 25 and that is £760,000. When preparing the investment plan, the government set out 41 possible interventions. Our investment plan proposes to allocate the fund following the interventions, and this is set out on page 4 of the report. Communities and places, E1. Improvements to our town centres and high streets, allocated £230,400. Creation of and improvements to local green spaces, £104,000. Capacity building and infrastructure support to local groups, £104,000. Community engagement schemes, local regeneration, £72,800. Relevant feasibility studies is £114,400. The communities and place subtotal equals £625,600. For local businesses, open markets and town centres, retail and service sectors, that is £93,600. Strengthening local entrepreneurial ecosystems, that is £104,000. The local business subtotal equates to £197,600. People and skills, employment support for economical inactivity people, £72,800. And green skill courses is £104,000, total £176,800. On pages 4 and 5 of the report, sets out some ideas of projects under these interventions. For example, under E12, working with communities across the borough to support community involvement in developing new plans for the borough. Under E16, the opportunity to make improvements to market environments. Under E39, the opportunity to offer green skill training to those in the construction sector to support reskilling them to enable them to access green jobs. Councillors should note that this council has worked closely with colleagues and other local authorities, including Essex County Council, to see whether there were any projects which we could work on across boundary. Pooling of resources could provide efficiency, avoid duplication and lever in additional funding from other sources. I would like to thank Ben Brooke, Strategic Policy and Performance Manager, Ian Butt, Head of Places and Policy, and Amanda Parrott, Planning Policy Manager, for their hard work in producing this report. As you've looked at this report, you clearly see this is a truly in-depth report and something we should be extremely proud of in receiving this money, and hopefully we can really put this to good use in our community. If there are any questions, the authors are here present tonight, and if they can't answer it, as I said earlier, we will send them to the dungeon for 2 weeks with turnip soup as a supplement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Cabinet, any questions? No? Members? Right, I've got Councillor Mumford and then Councillor McLean.
Just to say, well done. I think this is a really good a moment for Castle Point, and just like to point out and say well done to the Conservative government for delivering this. And I'm quite sure we can make a really good job of going forward with this. And also well done, Ben Brooke and the officers. Thank you.
Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Leader. Got 2 questions, if you don't mind. On the 4.14 in the investment plan, the money's loaded into £762,079 in the 3rd phase of the award. Is there any reason why so much comes so late into the 3 years? And the other point is does the money come to us in its entirety at the beginning, or is it ring fenced to us in its entirety at the beginning, or could any changes in policy for government affect that last year because so much is loaded into the last year? And I take it that we're probably looking to make plans at the year 1 rather than year 3.
Angela, can you answer?
Thank you very much for those questions. I will now pass them over to one of the authors, Ian Butt, who can explain to you your questions.
All right.
Yeah. Change your plan, it'll be Ben Brooke.
Thanks so much. So in answer to the question about why there's so much in the 3rd year, that was just the way the funding was profiled, basically. And there is something in there around any of the people's and skills interventions can't happen until year 3, and that's to do with the sort of transition of other funding programmes that there were for the EU that were coming to an end in the first 2 years. So that's the reason for that. In terms of how we get the money, it will be coming on a year-by-year basis. We've obviously signed a memorandum and understanding to get the grant. It will be coming in, for 2022, 23, and then for the subsequent sort of 2 years. I mean, we've signed the agreement. You know, we hope that the money's there within the budget, and we don't expect it to disappear or anything. So that's just the way that it will be coming in. But we'll be developing our projects accordingly so that we can deliver what we need to deliver in each of those 3 years. Thank you.
Okay, members. Well, I'd like to thank the government because we don't get an awful lot out of them. So, Councillor Mumford.
I'd just like to say, I mean, it's great that we've got the funding, but Councillor McLean's concern about the loading of the 3rd year is a potential concern, perhaps, if the government does change, which is probable.
Okay, members. Is that agreed? Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to agenda item 7. Proposal to create a detailed business case for investment in updating and refurbished works at the Knightswick Shopping Centre. As members are aware, the council bought the Knightswick Centre in 2019, and unfortunately, because of COVID, very little works have been done down the centre. So the idea is to actually get a business case, and that the council allocates £150,000 for earmarks from the Knightswick earmark reserves to commission a detailed business case for updating the Knightswick Centre. And anybody who actually lives local obviously realise that the Knightswick Centre needs drastically modernising and updating. And the idea of this is that we can update it, and it will be phased work. The first phase will be the internal works, where I think is most important to make the internal works in Knightswick Centre be a more bright, a more inviting shopping centre to encourage not only more shoppers but encourage new businesses into the Knightswick Centre. And I think it's long overdue. And anybody who walks through there, businesses will tell you it looks very dark. So this is a good news story, and I think members. I asked if there's any questions from the Cabinet, and no questions. Any questions from members? In that case, members, is that agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much. And we move on to item number 8, which is Councillor Cole again, which is the Public Realm Place Spaces Fund.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leader, members, ladies and gentlemen. The subject is Public Realm and Public Spaces Fund. The purpose of the report: to create a Public Realm and Public Spaces Fund to provide public realm and public spaces improvements in the borough. Links to the Council's priorities and objectives. This item concerns the corporate plan priorities, people, place and environment. The recommendation is to create a new earmarked reserve of £140,000 to provide public realm and public space improvements, to be known as the Public Realm and Public Spaces Fund. To delegate authority to the Head of Environment in consultation with the Deputy Leader and the S151 officer to draw down on earmarked reserves for the purpose set out in the report. So, this is a new fund set up from allocation of money received from the government as a new homes bonus, and is not part of our base budget. I'd like to make that clear, our base budget. And we've got 140,000 that we can allocate over 2 years, and it will be ring-fenced. And what it can be used for is on our open public spaces. So it could be used for like benches, picnic tables, planting, raised beds or mini gardens. And although 140,000 seems a great deal, once a council starts investing and building up procurement procedures, what you and I could get, say, a park bench for £200, as soon as you mention the word council, you're talking maybe £600. So we want to look at this, and we're going to involve all our community groups and every councillor in here, if you have any ideas, to come forward. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and stretch this money as far as possible, hopefully looking for match funding wherever possible. So if a volunteer group comes along and they've already got some money for a project, but they need a little bit more, then they can come to us, and then it's going to be sent. We're going to send out an application form so they can put their ideas in. It will come back to us, and as I mentioned earlier on, then we will score it, look at it, count it consideration, and we'll be able to give out small grants to these people. This is a really good fill story for us, and I'm really proud that we've managed to secure this 140,000. As I said, there's going to be a 4-week window open, so for all volunteer groups to come forward, and then we were going to sit down and look at these projects and go through them together. If there are any other further details, then please, I'll take any questions from you, but this is a good news story.
Thank you, Councillor Cart. It certainly is. Members of the Cabinet, is there any questions? No? Members for the Council? Councillor Mumford, Sue Mumford?
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, former member. Yes, I think this is an absolute brilliant opportunity for us to, as you say, review our parks and open spaces and add things which our residents will get great pleasure from. I see in the report 5.6, it says that we are going to engage with local residents, and I know that you've mentioned community groups and things coming forward, and ourselves as members. As you are aware, I have actually been approached by some residents who've requested the possibility of an outdoor gym, Tarpots Recreation Ground, so we will be putting some application form in for that. But what I wanted to actually ask you is, will the forms be easily accessible for individual residents to complete, or will it just be for sort of community groups? And when the applications are received, who will assess these and make the decision which applications are successful, and will this process be open and transparent? Thank you.
Thank you for that. First off, this administration from day one has always been an open, transparent administration, and we will not hide behind anyone. Individual persons will not be able to support applications coming forward. You have to belong to a group to come forward, and it would be made up of myself, Trudy Bragg, and Lance Wasco. And then it will be opened up with scoring. The sheets will be online, which will go out on Monday. And then on there, we will sit down and then look at the scores, allocate that. Are they actually really benefiting in this community? Is that money that we're about to hand out really going to make a difference in our community? £140,000, it might seem a great deal, but as soon as we put something in, it can go straight away. Thank you. I hope that answers your question.
Councillor.
Thank you.
Councillor McLean.
Sorry, Leader, thank you. In the first report, under E3, Creation and Improvement of Local Green Spaces, there's a sum of £104,000 available, and it seems from reading the report that this is for exactly the same thing. So if this is 140,000 in the second one, will this new committee of 3 people have access to the 104,000 in the first report, or will that be dealt with separately?
I can answer that question for you. This item is totally different to the previous item. There is nothing about them two touching each other whatsoever. We've got this item is totally independent. This is the new homes bonus, which is totally separate to the report that I read earlier on.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Aycock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I ask Councillor Cole, is this money to be spent only on Castle Point Borough Council's properties, or could it be used by other groups within the borough who own their land? Examples being things like the RSPB or Small Gains Football Club with the field and that they use. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Aycock. It must be used on public open spaces only. Yes, so it could be council, non-council land. Like I said, we're gonna really do our best to stretch this money and make every single pound work for this. This is, you know, we don't get this money that often, and we want to really make a big difference. That's what we're all here for as volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole.
You. Members, is that agreed? Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Cole. Moving on. Okay. Agenda item 9 is the contract matters awarding of the building cleansing contract element of the grounds maintenance, street cleaning and building cleaning contract. Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Chairman. On the 19th of October 2022, the Cabinet received a report providing detailed information about the procurement and tender evaluation process which have been undertaken for the new grounds maintenance, street cleansing and building cleansing contract. At that time, Cabinet awarded the grounds maintenance and street cleansing contract to the successful tenderer, but we felt that we needed more information in relation to the building cleansing element. A revised recommendation was therefore presented to Cabinet, and it was agreed that Cabinet resolved to note the information provided in the report and approve the award of the contract for grounds maintenance and street cleansing to the successful tenderer, Pinnacle. The element relating to the building cleansing service was deferred to a later date for a decision to be made and a report prepared providing more information in relation to that service. Building cleansing services are currently provided and managed separately across 3 separate service areas in the authority: the Environment Directorate, Resources Directorate and the Housing Department. Cleansing takes place at a range of locations throughout the borough detailed in section 5.1 of the report. Delivery currently is not effective. It is costly and it's often impacted heavily by staff absences and the inability to cover and maintain the level of service that is needed. A review was necessary to consider how the service could be improved and enhanced moving forward. An options appraisal was undertaken, assessing 4 options for the future delivery of the service, along with the advantages and disadvantages of each one. These are set out in the report at section 8, so I won't read them all out to you, as a result of the exercise, option 3 emerged as the recommended approach. The option is recommended as it will provide the most benefits and the least risk to the council. Advantages are evident for a number of reasons. Again, you will already have read the benefits as outlined in the report, but I've identified a few to highlight. The contractor has extensive and proven experience delivering building cleansing services. There will be budget savings from the current costs associated with in-house cleaning provisions. The contractor already has established and service-specific IT software in place to manage and monitor delivery. The contract provides an emergency provision and out-of-hours service to report any emergency cleansing and/or sanitation incidents. There is investment in equipment to deliver the contracts to required standards and shared equipment and supply resources across teams and the borough. The interdependencies with the ground maintenance and street cleansing contract are of significant benefit to ensure an improved, consistent and resilient service. Staff currently undertaking a building cleansing function have been kept informed throughout the process to date with letters, information, sheets and departmental briefings. If a decision is made to outsource the service, the transfer of the council's building cleansing staff to the new contractor will be undertaken in line with the TUPE regulations. Staff transferred under TUPE retain all of their employment rights and a contractor would not be permitted to change transferred employees' contractual terms to the detriment of the employee, as they are not permitted to circumvent the TUPE regulations by law. The TUPE regulations are there to protect transferred employees and the regulatory provisions may be relied on by them. For the reasons stated and those outlined in more detail in the report, I move the recommendation that the Cabinet notes the information provided in this report and approves the award of the building cleansing element of the contract for grounds maintenance, street cleansing and building cleansing services to the successful tender, which is Pinnacle. I'll happily take any questions anybody has, and if I cannot answer them, I will point them to the relevant officer. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Cabinet, any questions? No? Councillor Gibson.
Thank you, Leader. Just I note throughout the report there's quite a lot of mention of poor performance and no performance monitoring in place at the moment. Can we seek that there's mechanisms in place within this current contract or the potential current contract that the mechanisms for performance will be followed? And if they aren't followed, are there any provisions for essentially fining or rectification processes with the potential supplier? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, Councillor Dixon. I will pass you to Stuart Jarvis, who I'm sure will be able to answer your question fully. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, there is within the contract in terms of poor performance, there's a rectification and default process, which is a financial default process, which we use very currently on the street cleansing and grounds maintenance contract. In terms of monitoring the performance, that will be done in line with the street cleansing and grounds maintenance contract as we currently do. So that's all fully equipped and ready to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, members. I think, members, this is actually a good move because it means that I know housing has suffered over the previous years because of sickness, and so this is a way that we can make sure that all our facilities are cleaned properly and we can feel safe that it'll be done by an excellent company who've got experience in doing that. So, members, is that agreed? Thank you very much. Moving on then, the corporate performance scorecard. Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leader. Members, ladies and gentlemen. The purpose of the report to set out the performance figures for the corporate performance scorecard for 2022-23 second quarter. Links to Council's priorities and objectives. The scorecard is explicitly linked to the Council's priorities. And the recommendation is that the Cabinet notes the report and continues to monitor performances. Summary of performances. Of the 23 indicators reported, 17 are at or above target, a further 4 are near target, 2 indicators are below targets. Trend in performance shows that there is an improving performance in 12 indicators, declining performance for 8 indicators, performance levels maintained for 3 indicators. And if there are any other questions, the report is there. There is a graph at the back which can show you for that any other questions. But if there are any other questions, then please pass them over. I'll do my best to answer them or pass them over to an officer. Thank you.
Cabinet, any questions? Councillor Member.
Thank you, Chair. One question for me. I know the fly tipping has gone down, but I'm just wondering, is there anything else that we're doing to proactively prohibit it, to stop it happening?
Thank you very much, Councillor Mumford. I will now pass this over to Stuart Jarvis to answer that question correctly. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so the reduction in fly tipping has been a combination of good social media publications over the year. We also invested earlier in the year in remote CCTV, out of which we've gained around about £2,000 worth of fines. Generally speaking, when you start to promote fly tipping and it starts to reduce, you do get a period of it really slowing down. Once people get back into it, it will start to pick up again, which is not unusual. But it will be we'll continue to promote it. We'll continue to send out a message that we're not taking your waste in this borough, and obviously we'll continue to find people as we find them. So, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor.
If I may just add one question, just to follow on from that. As you may have been aware, 1st of January, the Essex County Council came forward and stipulated that certain materials could now not be used in landfill sites. I would like to add that this council will be picking it up, your mattresses or your settees, where before you would have 3 bulky waste collections in one go, and we charged a very reasonable price of £39. We can only sadly take 1. Essex County Council is actively looking at new ways going forward, and there will be some more information coming forward. Okay.
Councillor Palmer.
That was actually my point, Chair. Okay. I was going to say, I think it's the Environment Agency. It's any household materials with POP in. Yeah. They're no longer allowed to be taken to your local tip. But I do understand that even local tips are going to have a skip specially for that material.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Trudy?
Yes, I can confirm that is the case. The issue is that the material can no longer be landfilled, and so Essex County Council are having to put in place interim arrangements until they come up with another contractor that will be able to incinerate it in effect.
Right, thanks. And I think we've had a few good wins on people fly tipping. I remember seeing something where we put some tape round, called it a crime scene, and I thought that was a great idea, and it made people aware that, you know, you can't continue to fly tip, and I think we should make it quite apparent to residents. If you see someone doing it, you know, we'll do our utmost to track down the person who'd fly tips, and we've had some people who have been fined quite considerably for doing that, so I thank the street scene for all their hard work on that. Is that noted, members? Okay then, moving on to item 11 and 12, where there are no matters, so that ends the meeting tonight, and I wish you all a good evening. Stay warm. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.